What's up, guys and girls? Welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about Freya and if she can forgive Kratos and Atreus. Freya is actually an extremely complicated character and someone who I enjoyed analyzing. My opinion of her has definitely changed over the years, but I'll talk about why some other time. Before we get into it though, I want to ask if you can leave a like on this video. You all have been destroying that like button on my videos and the channel has grown tremendously because of it, so thanks a lot for that. Here are some of the correct answers on the last video's trivia question. Even though I'm actively trying to make these harder, a ton of you have been doing super well, but also thanks to the people who get it wrong, and thanks for trying. For this video's trivia question is, in God of War 1, there was a moment where Kratos was trying to protect someone as they were getting surrounded by enemies. You lose if these people take too much damage. Who was Kratos trying to protect? The correct answers will be shown in the next video. Let's get right into it. The theme of forgiveness in God of War has come up in the past. There's always been a bit of a debate on Kratos forgiving himself. A long time ago, there was an interview with all the God of War directors on the topic of forgiveness. Stig, the director of God of War 3, had this to say.
Stig, was there ever a moment where you wanted to answer that question while directing the game?
Well, I think there's a whole gameplay sequence where we do that right before we go into the first-person kill with Zeus. I mean, you walk through his steps and he finds his wife and daughter, and then he finds Athena, and he basically comes to terms to a certain extent with himself. But does it mean that he forgives himself ultimately? I think that's still in question. I mean, there's more things that we could do with it, and I don't really want to like get into that right now because maybe potentially that's something we might see in the.
So the entire first gameplay section was Stig saying that they tried to tackle the question if Kratos forgive himself, and that was what that ending sequence was all about. Now, did he forgive himself fully? Probably not. He didn't exactly answer it. He says that's something that they wanted to play around with the next game. If there was going to be a God of War 4, we all know that that didn't happen. But I think they took some aspects of that and put it in God of War 2018. We see throughout the game Kratos acknowledging what he did was a mistake, that he does have some regrets. He calls himself a monster, wants Atreus to be better than him. That was like the whole purpose of that lesson throughout the game. I don't want you to be like me. I want you to become better than me, better than who I was. I do think that there is some regret there in Kratos. He at least acknowledges what he did was wrong, it was a mistake. He wouldn't be calling himself a monster otherwise. That's what the ending sequence was all about when he went into his own mind to find hope. We see him trying to walk away from his child and his wife's death. However, he turns around and hugs them, and then they evaporate into a blue flame. Of course, the blue flame is a symbol for hope and forgiveness. Then he hugs Athena, saying that he did regret stabbing her in God of War 2. He falls into a literal pool of regret until he follows the blue flame, leading him to hope. But I hear you, what does this have to do with Freya? In my opinion, I feel Freya and Kratos are extremely similar and was done on purpose. Here is Corey Barlog talking about Freya and Kratos' origins being extremely similar.
For me, this is this really great origin story of Freya, that her origin is a lot like Kratos'. It's very tragic, and bad decisions were made, and those bad decisions snowballed into something that just kind of got away from everybody. And where she's going to go next is so awesome.
So I'm going to explain this as best I can. I've done this in the past with my Freya analysis video, and I want to talk about it once again. So, Freya and Kratos both led armies into battle. According to the lore, Freya led her people against the Aesir in that war. For Kratos' memories to be erased, he had to serve the gods and join them. To end the war, she had to marry Odin and to join the Aesir. They also both lost a child. Also, at the top of the mountain, Freya said to Kratos she sees more of herself in Kratos than she cares to admit, and in lore and legends, 1 year after the events of God of War 2018, Kratos tried his best to see her, and Atreus mentions his father shares a strong connection to Freya. Freya and Kratos' stories are very similar, and they feel a connection to one another. I think if Kratos can learn forgiveness for himself, like in God of War 3, then there is a chance Freya can learn forgiveness for Kratos and herself. I think she will eventually have to accept the fact that she is very much responsible for killing Baldur as much as Kratos, and I think this realization is what's going to change her back. Kratos originally wanted to wipe his memories away because he wanted to forget what he did to his family. It was a terrible mistake. Tricked or not, Kratos did destroy his family. Intention doesn't change that truth. Kratos caused his family's death, however, he has accepted what he's done and called himself a monster, but he is a monster that must be better. This is the lesson he's constantly trying to teach Atreus throughout the game. Freya, again, whether intentional or not, she caused Baldur's death and Baldur's suffering. Ultimately, her making him invulnerable sent him down a path of pain and despair. Odin telling Baldur to pursue Kratos, that if he does will lead him to a cure, this is what Mimir told us, which eventually led to Baldur's death, but his dark path started because of Freya. Kratos may have dealt the final blow, but it was Freya that hurt him the most, and lied to his face about it for years, as she knew what the cure was all along. Freya herself, because of this, is a monster. She made a mistake which destroyed Baldur and put him in a mental torment for years to come. She must take accountability for it. I think she will, and I think she will forgive Kratos and Atreus, but more importantly, forgive herself for her terrible mistake. And I think that this will eventually lead to Freya admitting out loud that yeah, she made a mistake. I think this will be perfect for her arc. And again, just like how Kratos had to forgive himself and accept what he has done, I think Freya is going to go down this same path of accepting what she has done was wrong, admitting that it was a mistake. And I think with Danielle's amazing acting that she could definitely pull this off in such a manner that will make everybody cry. But that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you all enjoyed. The answer to the trivia question is Kratos was trying to protect his family. Ares had put him in a portal, which put him like in a psychological state where he saw different versions of himself trying to destroy his family again. So you constantly had to fight these enemies, get them off your family's back, and if your family gets hurt, you had to heal them by hugging them. You know, thinking about that scene, it's kind of messed up, right? Like, yeah, Kratos destroyed his family and he had to stop other copies of himself because he truly regretted this one moment. And this is kind of messed up. Jesus Christ, David Jaffe. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm gonna be out of here. Thank you guys and girls for listening. Deuces.